Welcome back, everyone, to the most intelligent of merge conflict intelligence that we have to offer here on the podcast. I'm James Montemagno. With me, as always, the honorable, the most intelligent, the man that just had all of his apps Sherlocked by Apple, Mr. Frank. Not making any more money, Frank Kruger.
Wow, that's such a great introduction, James. I like to be thought of as the secure cloud intelligence. I didn't get. I only got like 50% Sherlocked on an unreleased app, 10% Sherlocked on an unreleased app. So I don't think that counts. And I don't know if a calculator app is necessarily a competitor to Calca. But that math pad, we'll get into it. There was a lot of nice announcements.
There were plenty of nice announcements, and if people didn't think, as always, we like to come and reflect the week's worth of data from the events. Since we record on a Tuesday, we get to suck in. I sucked in all the knowledge yesterday, and that was the keynote day. I sucked it all into my brain, and I'm ready to talk about it.
I got overwhelmed very quickly. How many videos did they release? Is it 1,000 or 2,000? And we're recording on a Tuesday, and there's 2 days of videos. So now there's 2,000 to 4,000 videos I have to trudge through. They all seem interesting. The problem is they all seem interesting. I don't know how I'm going to watch all these videos, but we're going to summarize what we know so far, I guess. We'll shoot for that.
I was talking to Heather, and I said, you know what we should have done is both her at her company and also me personally, we were all watched the keynote and then also the developer state of the platform on Monday, which is fantastic. And though what I should have done is Heather and I should have like booked the 2 or 3 days off. And we said it should have done a virtual in-person conference, which means we book the living room is conference room A. And you know what I mean?
I'm normally good about that. I do that. Because otherwise there really is no way you'll watch all these videos. No. Like you go to sit down at night, like you have the choice between YouTube, Netflix, or Apple videos. And guess which one is number 3 on that list. That's true. I love Apple videos. That's the worst part. High production value, good education stuff, lots of knowledge to be gained. But oh my God, there's 1,000 of them. I do recommend the, there's gotta be a name for that, like the at-home conference or something like that. We gotta get some good coinage going.
Yeah, it's like an alt conference that's remote. It's an alt remote virtual conference, but like only for you and your partner and or just for yourself. Yeah. Really quick, before we get into this, let's talk about Craig Federighi. Heather and I last night, we went on a Craig Federighi binge. And if
just
you haven't...
Just now, you're late to the game. Come on.
Okay, so I've watched Craig through the years.
Yes.
Heather hasn't. She's only witnessed Craig in the last few years. Okay. There's a bunch, you can just Google Craig Federighi, timeline, whatever. And there is like a Craig Federighi WWDC best moments from like 2007 to 2020 or whatever. And more than anything, what I thought was really quite magical about watching these Craig Federighi replays is pre-pandemic, like right up until the pandemic, it was basically just normal developer conference. It was like black stage, black room, a bunch of people, and Craig wearing like a button-down shirt, like with way too much top buttons missing, coming on stage, pacing back and forth, being Craig, and being pretty dorky and making like really ad hoc jokes, playing off the audience. And then there's a huge projector, and man, what a different vibe. The vibes are so different. I mean, not bad but it's cool.
No, and well, those were live too.
Those are all live.
That's it's a different feel. What we're getting now is Hollywood. What we used to have is theater. And we don't get the theater anymore. Too bad. But his hair has been impressive the whole time. Yeah, I remember when I first started watching him, he was just the boring Mac guy. Like I was there for the iPhone, and they're like, and we're working on Mac. I'm like, good for you. Keep working on that, Mac. But like over the years, like you just kept staring at his hair and just yeah. Everyone falls in love with Craig Federighi at some point.
It's great. And I like that it's evolved so much that there's still this Craig fandism, but also they leaned into it. And everyone obviously knows at this time the very famous parkour scene in WWDC 2024, where
Excellent.
it is blatantly obvious that it's not Craig Federighi,
Oh,
obviously.
come on.
But I like that they leaned in. They leaned in hard, and I really appreciate it. And Craig, if you're listening, which you're not, I like it, Craig, and I keep it up. And also I'd say, do you think they're ever going to go back to in person, or is it always going to be this forever? Because there was a moment where Craig Federighi was announcing Face Unlock for the first time, and it failed because it locked the screen. Mm-hmm. And then he went to the backup device. What a raw, authentic moment. It doesn't happen anymore. There are no failures, right? Do you think we're ever going to go back for Apple? Because Google I/O is live and Build is live, but WWDC not live.
Yeah. Will we ever go back? My gut feeling is no. Genie's out of the bottle here a little bit. I think they just imagine doing that transition from the parkour. He jumps down out of camera frame at the bottom, and then real Craig pops up from the bottom. Doing that live? That's impossible. No, Apple is sold on the pre-production, I believe, at least for a while. I was thinking it's going to be some startup company, so like OpenAI, they tend to still do it live, but even those companies do it to a very small room.
Yeah,
WW was huge, 5,000 devs live. I don't know how many they fit actually into that keynote, but all of us tried to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't feel like they are going to. That's what the labs are for, they would say.
Yeah. It's a shame. I think it's a little bit of a shame. I mean, I like the keynote, the production. It's all great. It's fun to watch. It's fun to get on. I will say this, Apple, you're being rude by not allowing us to rewind the keynote live or pause it. I have meetings during the day. If you pause and you unpause, it goes to the current state in time. So you miss whatever it is. And they also blocked it on YouTube. On YouTube, you can turn on and off DVR functionality, and they turned it off. So you can't rewind it. And it's rude, Apple. That's not nice to people that,
What device were you using? I have to ask.
I was just in the browser, on apple.com.
Yeah, I was watching on the Apple TV just because I wanted it on the big screen. And at least during this platform State of the Union, I was allowed to do DVR kind of stuff. I didn't even try during the keynote because I didn't need to. But at least during the other live session, I was able to rewind and pause and go back. I had to go back because I kept, these conferences, you phase out it. When they started talking about video games, I'm just like, and I'm going to go take a break. And then they'll say something like, I heard that. And then you run back in and rewind. I don't know. That worked for me.
I think in the State of the Union, I believe I was able to pause and rewind, but I'm not positive. I know in the keynote, I was not able to.
Keynote. Okay.
It's long. So I wanted to, take a break because I had a one-on-one and I needed to do stuff.
I judge all the keynotes where they are at 10:45 because that tells you what kind of keynote it's going to be. And at 11, you knew they hadn't even gotten to the intelligence. It was an unintelligent keynote for the first hour, and then the intelligence came full force.
They sprinkled intelligence throughout without talking about intelligence. They refused to use the words AI or intelligence or anything, and they didn't until a specific point.
Did they ever say AI? I was joking in my head that we can't even ring the bell on our podcast here. Here we are, bell-less, because Apple was too clever. They didn't want to join in. They knew that the word was getting overused, and they wanted their own word, so they went with the long form, intelligence.
I believe they said Apple Intelligence, and then it changed into AI for everyone else. And I think they may have said the words AI for everyone else or whatever, for the masses or whatever it was. That might have been the only time, but intelligence was the word. Apple specifically intelligence. Let's Tarantino it. Let's start at the end, Frank. Everyone's going from the beginning. I watched MKBHD, went from the beginning. No, let's just go to the good stuff.
What was at the end? You have to tell me. What was at the end?
Apple Intelligence, the whole
Oh
intelligence part.
yeah,
That was the end of the
the
whole thing.
intelligent part. Okay,
Huh.
so I want to say congrats, Apple. You did what I'd been asking for the last year. I mean, we all wanted to see it the previous year, but I think it was good that they had a year to reflect on it and
Mm-hmm.
think it through. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with the technology that they came up with. So big bullet points, I guess, are there are big old neural networks running on device now when you upgrade to version 18 of everything, or what's the new Mac called?
Sequoia, beautiful. Just beautiful
Sequoia.
trees. Love the
Yep.
artwork. Very nice.
Never gonna spell it correctly.
Oh no, there's like a W in there, I think.
Sequoia. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Um so big bullet points, yeah. They're baking in a big 3 billion parameter model. It's going to do interesting and helpful things to you by watching what apps do. So all the built-in apps are going to be submitting data to it so that it can do various things. We'll get into intents. It's all about intents these days. You got to have your intents. But basically, they didn't have what I'm kind of happy they didn't do. In retrospect, I was almost expecting them to do it, but they didn't have a chat app. They didn't release Apple Intelligence Chat. So they didn't release a direct competitor. In fact, they partnered with OpenAI, which bravo, Apple. Congratulations. You're such a grown-up company these days. You're partnering. Um, and from an app developer standpoint, I think we could talk about that for a whole half hour, but I'll stop there. What big poem points did you get out of intelligence?
No, out of intelligence, here's what I got out of it. They did table stakes. They said, okay, first and foremost, let's just talk about table stakes. What is everybody else doing that we must do in an Apple way? Well, we must do entry of rewriting text and composing emails and writing poetry and things like that, right? And generating images. Now, they also
Not
did it.
composing.
They can compose email.
Through not through their own thing though, but they want to rewrite through their own thing.
Okay, correct. Sorry. So a table stakes of what's on device doing
Yeah.
stuff in their own or even in the Apple Cloud. They got the rewrite. They have the recomposition. They have the. They might have some smart replies in there, in my opinion. Probably, obviously, but
I'm a little nervous about. My apps have plenty of text boxes with text views everywhere, and
yep.
I override many methods that maybe one shouldn't always override. So I cannot wait to test all my apps with this new thingamabob that is going to, because it looks like it's platform wide, which is bravo. So if you're using a native text control, user selects some text, they get some cool AI text functionality, rewrite, OpenAI integration. Who knows? Who knows what they get?
That's the advantage of native, baby. So the table stakes there. They have some image generation limited to 3 styles of. I don't believe it's DALL-E. I believe it's their own model. These are all their own models, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely their own models. And in fact, I just want to say, I have noticed Apple research papers popping up in the wild lately. And they're really fun to read. They're really right up my alley because they're all about getting these big old networks to run on smaller bits of hardware and how to optimize models. And so Apple's been publishing about different imaging models for a long time now. Obviously, with their photography stuff, it's especially important. But the generative is almost just like fun. Like, because they're running all of these network, like the camera system on these phones these days are running like 8 million different models.
Oh yeah.
But generative, they just never had generative before, and why not? Everyone's doing generative. I at first I was a little disappointed with the restrained art styles, but I'm like, you know what? That's probably a good thing.
It's fine.
It's fine, especially because I think it's free. Is it free?
Everything's free.
Sherlock. Everyone got Sherlock.
Here's the Apple trick.
Yeah.
They get you hooked, and then eventually there'll be a paid subscription down the road.
Yeah.
There will be. There'll be like an Apple
if you
plus
generate 100 images a month, you got to give us $5 a month or something
exactly
like that. Yeah.
How many gen emojis do you want? I like that they leaned into the gen AI with the gen emoji. You know what I mean? So and go
I
from
will
there.
say though that in the platform State of the Union, they put up a diagram showing what's running on device, what's not running on device, and as far as I could tell, the image generation is running on device.
Yeah, I think so. I think Genmoji. I
So
think it all is. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't think they would ever really have to ever charge technically.
I think that what they'll do is they'll add more features. Like they'll get you kind of hooked on AI features, and then eventually they'll spin up some plus deluxe thing, kind of like OpenAI does, right? You can do free version, you can do the paid version.
I gotta say, this was really exciting. I don't want to bury the lead, and the lead in my mind is they're running models on the device, and that's
Yeah.
cool because they've had the hardware there forever. We've talked about it on the show a bunch. They're finally really leveraging that hardware, and it's great to see.
And it's nice to see. I think that I call it table stakes because we just came off of talking about the Copilot Plus PCs. It's a little bit different. That being said, it's also not at the same time because this requires specific hardware and operating systems to run it, right? You need an iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max or the new Pros. Luckily, somehow, it's only 15 Pro and Pro Max, and not 14, 15, and also the new 16 that'll come out. But every Mac that runs an M chip somehow, which doesn't make any sense.
It's a RAM issue. We've talked about it on this podcast before. These all the compute is there.
Yeah.
Those silly phones just don't have very much RAM.
Yeah. So I think what's fascinating is when we look at the Copilot Plus PCs, those are also running models locally for similar things, the image generation, the text rewriting, the things like that. So when I say table stakes, it's like here in 2024, 2025, 2026, eventually everything will just do this stuff. So I think it was great that they're like, it's in the box, it's there, devices get it. I am fascinated as to, why a normal iPhone 15 or 14 or 16 wouldn't get it. And it must be the RAM.
Honestly, you're bursting my bubble a little bit because I thought my phone was going to get it because I have experience. I've run big models on my phone. It can do it. It doesn't want to, but it can, especially if it has little help from the operating system. It definitely could. So that's too bad. I'll have to keep track of that. I wonder which. I finally got Xcode downloaded, so I could finally look at the new SDK and get the SDK diff. And I'm curious which of these AI features have bubbled up to the developer, and I wonder if they'll have big old capabilities checks and things like that. Anyway, just thinking ahead.
I am also extremely interested in that. And is there a clean degradation down? Like, will it gracefully, or do you have to check that ahead of time, or does it matter because it's system wide? But I do believe, I haven't seen the APIs yet, but from what they were talking about, and I didn't get to watch any sessions yet, is that there are some very streamlined Apple-esque APIs to access these things. So I'm hoping that it's there. So I think table stakes, all good. I do believe that Siri is very fascinating. When you said earlier on that they didn't really create a Apple AI, they did. It's called Siri.
Yeah.
I believe by not only doing voice entry, but now doing text entry, they've expanded it and I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Siri is the thing that will also go to ChatGPT if it needs to. Is it the same? Because I think it is. I think it's like Siri goes into ChatGPT mode or something. I'm not 100% positive how that works.
I'll be honest, I'm very unclear on that last point also.
Yeah.
I was actually a bit nervous because they were talking about Apple Intelligence this whole time. And I'm like, are they literally not going to upgrade Siri? Are they just going to do everything but Siri? And I was starting to get really doubtful. And then finally they announced new Siri icon. We are upgrading Siri. In fact, Siri is getting a pretty big overhaul. So the App Intense thing, it learns what's on your phone. And it's able to do natural language to App Intense. Again, we'll talk about that some more eventually because it seems like every year I keep saying I got to put more App Intense in my apps, and now it's becoming super important.
Yeah.
But Siri definitely is getting a whole bunch of upgrades. one just cute little feature. They demoed it, and it's dumb, but it's cute. Like, it actually can search the um, phone Apple device help files itself and actually bring up relevant how to do things on the phone, because these phones are getting complicated, and I used to know every single feature and where it was located, but that time has passed. I don't know where anything is anymore.
Yeah.
And so, just as like a silly cute little feature that they implemented with this new powerful Siri, is just, how do I do something on my phone, and hopefully it'll actually find the correct help docs for you and put them up.
Yeah, I think that it was all good. It's kind of what they needed to do. Their stock's up. That's great. And to me, yeah, I'm glad that they are forward looking with the OpenAI integration and ChatGPT integration. They said it might have other models in the future. That seems cool.
Yeah.
It's a pretty advanced scenario. Like, I don't know the average consumer that is, again, I don't know. I'm not like a super heavy AI user myself personally. There's some scenarios at work that I use it quite often, but I'm not rewriting text all the time or generating images all that much. But the integration streamline across makes a lot of sense in the text messaging and the different areas. But I think for me, it will be more interesting down the road and how they sort of play this game and who they're catering for. Like, is the ChatGPT integration really for the mainstream, or is it more for, Wall Street? You know what I mean? Is the real question at the end of the day.
Oh, I think once people get a taste of it, it's hard to go back. You expect it everywhere. So, for example, with the Amazon family of Dingus devices, I expect so much out of it, and it disappoints me every time I ask it anything complicated.
Yeah.
Same thing for Siri. Classically, tragically, hilariously Siri. But I think that all these advanced AI things, GPT 354 level stuff, is just, you keep saying the word table stakes. For me, that's table stakes. All these devices, including all these assistants, should.
I say,
Apple kept distinguishing. They kept calling it world knowledge because they
yeah,
get it.
world, yeah.
It's a huge network.
Yeah.
And so like world knowledge, you need to summarize all of human knowledge and make it answerable and polite and all these different things.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. But for me, that's table stakes. All the world's knowledge. That's so 2022.
Yeah. I hear you. Okay, so I think the more intriguing part of the entire AI part was this private cloud that they mentioned, your private AI cloud. And, one of the concerns that people have is privacy, right? Even with like the recall feature on Windows, there was a big thing. Microsoft came out with another press release of the changes that they're making and how to be behind like different unlock codes and like all this other stuff, how it's going to be encrypted and all these other things, which is pretty cool, even though it was already pretty secure. So it's even more secure. And Apple even said, hey, we're going to know about you and your friends photos and this photos and these things. And now if you share it with external services, then with like OpenAI, then we'll ask you first. But you're building this private cloud. So of all this knowledge of everything on your device. And then additionally, they said, we'll also be able to see like what's on your screen and use that as a reference.
Right.
But they're building this private knowledge cloud that's going to be inspected by experts to make sure the source code is whatever. I mean, I thought that the animations and how they described it was pretty spot on, but in practice, I'm not really sure exactly how that works. I understand that everything is just vectors and zeros and ones and numbers and all these things. So it's not really about the data at the end of the day. It's pointing an arrow on the XYZ coordinates, in some area to find the relevancy.
In some ways,
yeah.
In some ways, it's like hashed data. So it's like you can't really recover the original data from it. But it's not random like a hash. So you can find patterns. James is looking at these kinds of embeddings. So there is actually a lot of information in it, even though it's condensed down and you can't recover the original information. I don't know. This is terrible Apple fanboy and all that stuff, but I really have to applaud them for this
cool
private compute thing. They kept talking about they're going to have like the source code be auditable, everything that it does be audited, and that's a pretty big deal. I didn't see Google doing that. I didn't see like if you want to. It was very unclear what was being audited. Was it their code? Can I upload code?
Yeah.
I'm here for the audits, but I want to know if can I use this thing like as a developer? If I have a model, can I upload something? Or are we just talking these are Apple's models and this is how we can verify Apple's not cheating on us or something like that?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seemed pretty impressive to me, honestly.
Seemed good. I think you need to win over, as much as we talk about AI, I have lots of conversations about AI, about usage, about privacy, about mainstream, about non-mainstream, and just, pushback on AI as well. Like there's a lot around it, right? And I'm in the camp of, I'm not against AI, right? I work at a company that is infusing all of our products with AI, and I use a lot of that every day. But I'm not like a binge AI. I want it, I need it everywhere. I use it when it makes sense in my work stream, which I think that why I'm excited about what Microsoft did with the Copilot Plus PCs and what they're doing with their product suite and what Apple's doing across the board. What I think is nice is that hopefully stuff just shows up everywhere. So I get to decide system wide, like you were saying earlier, when and how I want to use stuff. It shouldn't matter if somebody, Frank Krueger, integrates something into his AI to rewrite something. If it's a text box, just let me do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's somewhere I have an image, just let me do it. You know what I mean? So I think that'll be really nice. And the private cloud part, I think, is very, very fascinating. The part that I think here's where it gets complicated, that people might be thinking, what if I share a photo with you? Now you have that photo. Is that in your private cloud? Can you upload that photo that I shared with you to OpenAI? Like, where are the limitations of that shared knowledge base? Am I giving you consent to send my photo that I sent to you by the act of sending it to you? Do I give you permission to send it to OpenAI? So I'm not saying it's bad at all, but I think that it's great that they're building these walls and this security layer up. Fantastic. I'm all about it, by the way. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Especially when it is not its own app, right? If you're inside of the OpenAI app, the ChatGPT app, you clearly know that you're sending your information to ChatGPT. The reason they needed to do this is because it's sort of a mode of Siri that you're entering ChatGPT mode or some functionality, and then you want to do that. So super great. But where does things stop and start?
Super great, but if they pop up a dialogue every time I want
think
you to do something,
it's going to. Definitely.
No bueno. I don't care. Just upload all my information. I got over it with Google. They've tracked everything. Every website I've ever gone to has an ad tracker from Google on it. I'm over it. Yeah, but it's good security. My impression was it's just deleting data constantly. Like it's just guaranteed to always be deleting. So if it has to put an image up there temporarily, then it's just going to be deleted. But I need to watch the in-depth talks to see what hopefully they document. I mean, the whole point is transparency. So hopefully they document exactly what is secure about it. And we'll report back if I'm able to figure out what any of it means.
Yeah. So in general, I like it. Seems good. I don't have a phone, nor will I have a phone that supports it for who knows how long. Because here's the other part. If Heather gets a new phone this fall, I get her old phone, and that's an iPhone 14. So I won't even get it.
Yeah, and I'm curious about the iPad situation. Which iPads support it too? Then,
if it has an M chip,
then all the iPads support it.
Yeah,
is that right?
That's what's my understanding.
It's just the iPhones. Darn. Okay. Too bad.
Here's my thinking is, and this is my thinking is, they want to push. They obviously want to sell pro devices, but they want to roll it out in a way that they still have a controlled rollout. So they have it, but it's not every single user all at once to strain the system. They need to graciously roll it out over time to the masses. That's my thinking. I don't know.
I disagree. I think it's purely the RAM thing.
I get it could be. It
iPhone
could
15
be.
is the first one to get 8 gig. Anyway, it's just conspiracy
Oh.
theories because we'll never know. We'll
Dun
never ever
dun.
know.
We'll never know. Okay. Anything
I
else on
do
the
want to.
AI? You got it.
Yeah, again, the giant big question mark is just what can we do as developers? So as developers, app intents, every UI you put up in your app, make sure you have an intent that
Yep.
points at it. They're releasing 2 schemas. This is a way to name your intents so that Apple Intelligence can index you and
Yep.
do intelligent things so that you can book appointments through your app while you're, I don't know. What do you do with intelligence while you have it generate a picture of where you're going to be?
Hey, Frank, can you book an appointment and then, DoorDash me a pizza sandwich from Filiberto's?
Yeah.
I'm not positive. I mean, I think that would be it. Like, you want to talk and say, hey, can I order my favorite pizza from, blah, blah, blah restaurant, Big Mario's, like, let's get it done. And then it happens, it makes sense. Now on Android, this is not a new concept. Intents, the whole system, it's all been there forever, but I like that they're using it in this way, and it makes a lot of sense. They obviously showed a lot of pretty demos, and I want to see how it works. I think that's fine. That's why. Will it work, or is it we really need the developers to get on board? Are you going to run in scenarios where you keep asking it to do stuff and it can't do stuff? That's going to be my assumption for a bit, but I don't know.
I think we have to do a whole episode on it after I watch. I queued up like 3 different videos on how to integrate with AI, Apple Intelligence.
Apple Intelligence. It's so smart. AI, the only way Apple knows how to do it.
Speaking of security, I have a segue. Did you see the Passwords app?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
This is the biggest announcement of iOS 18. This finally. My God, I never know where to find the stupid passwords, especially on Mac. Why am I going through Safari to find my passwords?
It's in Safari and or your keychain. So you got to unbury it from your keychain
but
somewhere.
Keychain's such an ancient UI. I never that one.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. For me, even I'm like, am I in Edge? Am I in my Microsoft app? Am I in my Google thing? Am I over here? No, this was rumored, and I'm excited about it. Now, the cool part about the Passwords app is that it will work with all of your 2-factor auth codes, with all your passcodes, with all your passwords, with all your whatever stuff. But what's cool is that there's also a Windows app. So this is a game changer for me. You can use the Windows iCloud app, and now you'll have the passwords there. So I can move away from Google, one more removal from Google, and I can put it into the ecosystem. So I'm very excited about it.
This was a big year for Sherlocking. I feel bad for 1Password, but I think people who are using 1Password are probably going to stick with it because no one's going to want to move around. But for those of us using iCloud, password, keychain, this is great.
Unless they import a little import button. I feel like that's coming. I feel like they're going to be like, give me all your 1Passwords. Done.
I feel like we haven't gotten a Passwords app because there was politics going on and Apple didn't want to Sherlock, but I'm glad they did. I'm so tired of trying to find them.
More importantly than the Passwords app across the board on devices is that they have officially killed Mac applications. They're dead. Well, we're back.
We're back. Hi.
We're back. They officially, Frank, have killed Mac applications. They're gone. You don't need Mac applications anymore. That's what Craig said. He said, listen, you don't need any apps on the Mac. Just put your iPhone on the Mac. And now your iPhone is on the Mac. It's mirrored in all of your apps and get all of your notifications. You don't need Mac applications anymore. In fact, stop developing them. Throw them away. Only iPhone applications mirrored. How many people have asked me to put my iPhone app on the Mac so you can put on whatever? I don't have to anymore. Just say, mirror your iPhone. Boom, bingo, bango. You're done, baby. It's the end of Mac apps, Frank. They did it. They did it. Mac Catalyst, get out of here. Nope. iPhone mirroring. Everybody has an official Mac app. Done.
Yeah. If your app fits in a vertical rectangle.
They all do. They all do already.
Yeah. Yeah, every window I have on my screen right now is a very narrow vertical rectangle.
Can you put
That's
it in
not
landscape? Who
true.
knows? It doesn't matter. They killed them all, Frank. Every app, they're all Sherlocked. Every Mac app is Sherlocked.
Well, I mean, okay, no, this already happened when any M1 Mac can run
iPhone
iOS
apps.
apps
Yeah.
in a much better way. I can't believe this is the direction, the way you chose to spin this story, because for me, this story is awesome. Finally, as an app developer, I can actually interact with my app running on a device without having
Yeah.
to stop the device. I
Yeah.
love you, devices, but you're there, and my hands are here, but you're there, but my hands are here. Wouldn't it be nice if I could keep my hands here? Yes, it would. And finally, through the miracle of Wi-Fi technology, we finally can transmit a click. We've been able to get the screen on our Macs for, I don't know, what, a decade now.
The
But it's
widgets are there.
impossible to transmit a click.
Yeah.
Now through Craig Federighi, we can transmit clicks, and it's amazing. I'm excited for this feature.
No, Frank. I'm very excited about this feature because I have been using a lot of the widgets on my desktop, on my Mac. I really like them. I have 1,000 ways of screen mirroring. However, they're all through AirPlay or some other way, or through the iTunes or the QuickTimes application. Nobody wants that. No. This is a much more elegant way of just streamlining the entire process. Drag and drop integration. It's a beautiful thing. I love it.
Yeah. I've been a little bit nervous to upgrade my Mac, but I've gotten on the beta wagon, man. I've done my phone, I've done the visionOS, but I haven't done the Mac. But I'm about to do the Mac because I want this feature.
Yeah, it's a good feature.
This is just magic. I'm always afraid of compatibility. I use like 3 different IDEs now. One of them will break. Something always breaks.
Yeah. It's a good feature. I'm very excited about it. I think it was well integrated, and I believe that there's a lot of content creators today that will want this feature because they a common use case, for example, is that you might start editing a video on your computer and then you want to post it to Instagram or to TikTok. Now you can do that through the browser, but you lose a lot of functionality. So actually being able to bring it in and streamline it into your device will be a lot easier. I do this all the time. How many times have you like emailed or Dropboxed or OneDrived or iCloud synced a file so you can get it on your phone and then do something with it? Hopefully this gets rid of that across the board. That would be nice.
Truly excited for it. Can it do that? Can you actually drag files between it? Is it using handoff or something?
Craig was Craig is like, a click's not good enough. What if we take this file and we just flick it over here? Boom. Done.
Okay. I know this is like very basic networking, but thank goodness we haven't had this basic networking in for so long. I have that problem with the app I'm working on right now because I'm doing video files. Like it's a pain to move video files around. Like they've given us the Files app, but that's still not wonderful to use.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, man. I'm excited for this one.
I appreciate that they also have window tiling, as they call it, aka Windows snapping all over the place. It's good. I can uninstall the third-party app that they sure locked, and that's good. It's about time. It's about time. About time.
I'm not a snapper, but I get it. I like a messy desktop, but I get it.
I'm a snapper. I snap, baby, snapping all over the place. Snippity snap snap. I got to do it. Beyond that, the Mac got a bunch of features that the iPadOS and iPhone got. I don't know, a bunch of good stuff. I don't know. Are you worried about your app icons? Are they going to look good or look bad? Do we need to spend some new icons?
I mean, it is a deal. So I was playing with that just today. It's really fun. So you can customize your home screen and you can set it to a new dark mode. And you can also set it to a new tinted mode. And this is affecting not the wallpaper, but the icons themselves. And it's weird, man. I got to be honest. So for the night mode, everything looks fine, just darker. Not too surprising. I think my icons look a little bit muddy. I got to figure out exactly what they're doing for their highlighting algorithm so I can figure out how to make sure that my icons still look a bit vibrant. Where things go a little bit worse are on the tinted modes. So in this case, everything becomes a uniform color. That color down to black, not up to white, down to black. So everything becomes darker. It's definitely a dark thing. This is where high contrast icons look the best. I thought like iCircuit uses a dark blue that transitions to a medium blue and then a white icon in the middle. And that's not a lot of contrast. So a lot of these tinted icons will come out with a black background and then a colorful foreground. In the case of my icon, it just comes out like a muddy wash of like if you set the color to yellow, mine would look sepia.
What
So a little sad.
I haven't looked into if they're providing a new setting. So, for example, when Google did this, they did this a long time ago. When Google changed from your app icon is a app, just an image, which is what it is on iPhone. So there's a bunch of images. What Google did for Android is they changed it, and this is actually similar to how Windows, like Windows 8 and Windows 10 and Windows 11 apps work. But for all intents and purposes, they say, what's your background color and what's your foreground image? Yeah. And that's nice because in that instance, they could dynamically change your background color of your app icon, and then the foreground's there. They don't have that on Apple. There's no like, here's just the foreground iCircuit icon, which means that they could tint that, but then change the background color to a specific color. So everything has the same background color. I think that they will do this in the iOS 18 SDK. I haven't installed it yet, but my assumption is that there will be a new setting in the assets catalog that specifically you add just like an SVG or you add just a foreground, and then on iOS 18 it applies these changes.
It's possible. I haven't noticed it yet, but I haven't dug through the whole SDK yet. Now, what they do have, you're wrong. They do have this feature on Vision Pro. So Vision Pro icons are 3 layers: background, middle, top.
That's what they should do. So
it's really just a matter of bringing that feature into iOS.
Okay.
And so they'd probably do it that way: 3 layers, because it's Apple. Of course, you got to do 3, not 2.
Background,
middle, top.
Top would be like a overlay.
Well, so the reason they do it on Vision so that they can do like a parallaxing effect, so they can do a faux 3D effect. So they actually, I mean, it's not even a faux; it's a real 3D effect because they literally, in physical space, bring the forward layer closer to the user, the middle layer halfway, and then the back layer, stationary? I forget. Whatever. They have little tricks. So I think they would just adopt a system like that. And that would be obviously a lot better for their recolorizer to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how smart the recolorizer is. Like it's not dumb. It's not just going to grayscale and then recolorizing based on the grayscale value. It's doing a little bit more than that, but not much more, because that's basically what it looks like it's doing to my icon.
Got it. Yeah, I'll be really, really fascinated to see what APIs they give us, or if they adopt that Vision Pro OS.
Yeah.
That would make more sense to me, going forward with it. Like, hey, this is tried and true. Let's bring it over. Maybe it's 2 layers. Maybe it's 3 layers. Maybe they future-proof it. The cool part on the reason they do at least 2 layers on Android is as you move around the icon on the screen, because you, just like on iOS now, on Android forever, you can move it anywhere. But it basically will give you a little movement, right? So your background, your foreground kind of do a little shimmy, a little dance. That's kind of cool because it's like real motion. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Yeah, like you said, all the platforms seem to make us break our icons up like this. It's always been funny that iOS is basic. But you brought up a good point. Yes, we can finally put our icons wherever we want on the screen. We can have gaps. Amazing.
We did it.
Amazing technology. But even better than that, you can have big icon mode. So it removes the app name, because let's face it, everyone, you know apps by the icon. I was a little bit surprised. I lost my way in the beginning a little bit. I couldn't find a couple apps because I didn't have their icon perfectly memorized, but I got rid of those names and it's great. I feel like a black, like I feel like I can see the icons from like a mile away now. They're just huge.
Well, I was told, and I saw a video that you can basically turn them into Windows Live tiles, where you can make them bigger, but then also they can become and display live information.
Yeah, I don't know about the live information part yet because I still have all the widgets, so I got to sort through what's the difference between a widget and an icon and that these days. I don't know.
Windows Live tiles, they're back, baby. We did it.
It's tough. Like this is all really great stuff for the iPad, but the iPhone home screen is still pretty small. Like
It is.
I don't like that. I don't like to have a lot on there.
I
So
have
I'm not.
one screen.
Yeah,
Like if I go left or right, doesn't go
Yep.
anywhere. One screen.
I do that too. It's amazing. But yeah, it doesn't leave a lot of room for widgets and tiles and super huge icons.
Yeah. Here's my favorite new thing. I believe my iPhone might be the most clean because I'm going to make every app hidden. All of them. They're all going to be hidden. Why would I want any app not hidden? I'm going to hide every app so I can't even find it.
I do messages. I like to have a few apps. It's true though. I use search for almost everything. So, and the Siri recommends is half decent. So usually the app I want is just a pull down away. Eh, either way, I think there's a lot of people who are gonna love the monochrome effect you can do now with
Yeah.
the tinted icons. I personally turned on big icons and tinted icons, and I kind of love it. It just because my phone looks different now, and
Yeah.
I do like the uniformity of it all.
I might resist the power and leave it stock and be because like iPhone users are going to be so excited. I said, Heather and I were talking about, I'm like, I know it seems like a stupid feature, but everyone's going to love it because like they've never been able to do it before. Everyone's going to get so excited, but I'm just going to buck the system and I'm going to be like, no,
wow,
leave it alone.
Deprive yourself of a beautiful clean screen. Look, I think app developers, I think everyone actually makes really great icons. I love iOS icons, but it can be a little bit circusy looking.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this.
I agree. I mostly search for what I need to do. I do have a few apps like on my home screen that are like basically messages, you know what I mean? And email. But beyond that, I have, so on the top, so this is my home screen. Top, big Apple Fitness widget.
Ooh,
two stacks.
Yeah.
Then I have a folder. It's called smart devices in quotes. And it's the here's
vaguely smart.
It's vaguely smart. I get it. Then I have photos, maps, setting. I have settings. That's on my home screen. Settings.
It's important.
Clock. YouTube. And then I have so I have 2 rows of icons, right? And then I have a widget for Pocket Cast, which is my podcast player, and I have a widget for weather. And that's my home screen. And on the bottom, I have phone, iMessage, camera, browser. That's it. That's my whole phone.
Camera's on the little dock there, huh?
Because here's the thing with camera is even though you can get to the camera 8,000 ways, you can swipe to the left. You can hit the lock screen camera. I 9 times out of 10 unlock my phone and then launch the camera. I don't know. It's just like in my muscle memory, even though it's not the safest way to take photos.
I was actually gonna. Okay, I like what you just said, but I was thinking I like it because I know exactly where the camera icon is. But if I unlock the screen, I can never find the stupid camera icon. So I actually, maybe I will put it down in the dock. I will have to try that thought technology.
Yeah, that's my dock. The dock is the go-to. 95% of the time because it's there. Everything else,
I'm sure everyone's screaming. You can press this button and that button, and if you have the iPhone 15, you can put the action button to do actions. But I don't have any of that. I'm actionless.
Yeah, I have all the widgets on the left-hand screen. Never use them, and then I have the app library. I don't even look at the app library. I just search. I go to my phone. I know what I want to do.
The app library is terrible. Look, I like the app library because I like being able to get rid of apps without deleting them. Great. App library, great. Yeah. But like their organization system, is wrong.
Oh,
Just
it's terrible.
just wrong.
Yeah.
Put your LLMs on that, Apple. We need some Apple intelligence on that screen, because my God, where it puts my apps, like the ones I've written, it's just hilarious. I'm like, nope, that's not what the app is for.
Oh yeah, it's all over the place. It doesn't make any sense at all. So hopefully they could improve that with a nice on-device LLM. That would be fantastic. SLM, it's a small language model. Ideally,
It's
a small language model.
3 billion parameters. So I don't know. That was a large language model. That's bigger than GPT 3.5.
I'm just saying they could also
3.5
put.
size.
They can sprinkle the SLMs in there for very specific. Like like Apple. Like here's what I want Apple to do. They develop just a model to only sort your app icons, and that's it. Like that's
Yeah.
that's the SLM.
Well, uh, the truth is, we still have. There's plenty of room for small neural networks out there. I'm training and releasing a bunch of my own small neural networks that are tailored to solving one small problem. They don't need the sum of world knowledge in order
Yeah.
to solve that problem. They can do their own thing. And I think that I that was the coolest part of the Apple Intelligence, was we're running these small models on device, and when we do need all the intelligence in the world, then we go up to the server.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that split.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. What else? Watch got some stuff cool. visionOS got some stuff. No one cares.
No, hang on. Watch still can't write an app face or just a clock face, a watch face. Just got to put that out there. Year 8,000 of watch, still can't do it. Vision, not big upgrades, but one big upgrade I just have to mention, because all my apps are what they call volume apps. It's so that you can run your apps side by side with other apps, but it's still a 3D app. You can finally, James, through the miracle of Apple technology, resize the volume window.
Ooh, I like that.
A little miracle. I can't believe it wasn't in the V1. So thank you, Apple. I have been begging for resizable volumetric windows since I started writing apps for the Vision Pro. So I plan on using that feature a lot. So there, one thing they changed, one improvement.
I think the Vision Pro improvement was the Mac mirroring, right? With the bigger screen.
I guess.
Yeah, it's cool. Who doesn't want that?
What widescreen? I didn't get it. Like
it's
just
2 4K monitors instead of 1 4K monitor.
All devices can do it.
Yeah, your Mac can just now you have a bigger device.
Well, my bubble is still burst about the iPhone 15 being required to do anything. So now I'm just assuming nothing's compatible with anything anymore.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. I will say the single monitor has been super annoying, so I have to do that. I got Vision Pro 2. Oh, I probably have to upgrade my Mac to do that, though.
Probably. We'll see how it goes. Okay, what else do we have, Frank? We got...
Oh, no mention of Apple Music. I lost my bet.
No, they copied Amazon.
Oh.
They have in the Apple TV. They did. There's one mention.
Okay.
Apple TV Plus. They now have an X-ray mode where you can be watching a show and you can hit the down button, see who's on the screen, and you can see what song is playing, and you can add it to your Apple Music playlist.
Yeah. Okay. Meh. Great. Awesome. No, I do kind of dig it, because I would love to get music that way. But you just reminded me, even more important than that, Apple TV Plus Severance will be back. So that's good. I've been waiting for that show to resume for a long time. Is that what it's called? Did I say the right name? Whatever. That show with the guy.
Yes, they
from Parks and Rec.
all good developer events. You kick it off talking about what shows and movies are coming to your streaming service. So that's how you know. Here's the thing.
Multimedia company.
We all know that the keynote is a marketing first event. It's very clear. The state of the platform, total different tone. Fantastic. I'm just saying, Tim Cook.
Yeah.
You could have left this out. I think it's almost... I'm glad they got it over with at the beginning, but it's almost inappropriate.
5-year anniversary had to happen.
No, it
required by the gods of anniversaries. 5-year, got to celebrate the 5-year.
They didn't even give us new Apple TV
Here's what they
hardware.
didn't give us. Not one of the shows that they said is coming back did they say, and it's 3D, so you can watch them in your Vision Pro as a 3D video. Like, where is the brand integration? Apple, like,
now
it doesn't take much. Instead of recording with one camera, you record with two cameras. It's just bingo bango.
now you're talking, Frank. Now you can go work for the crack marketing team over at Apple, because that would have been a great tie-in.
Yeah, promote your device. Okay.
And then if they would have said, and we're going to enable you to do this at home, and they give you an API. I mean, it's natural integration. They after that, they kicked off with the Vision Pro. Here's the fascinating part about this entire event. The order that they kicked off the event, they're like, we got to get past this stuff real quick. Apple, we got to get past Vision. No one cares. Let's just get past it. Boom.
This is the unintelligent section. Got to get through the unintelligent section.
An hour and a half of it. Okay. Before we get out of here, there's a whole lot. We're coming up in an hour. Let's talk about the calculator. Craig Federighi said they'd never do a calculator unless there was something special to put it on the iPad. And what did you think? You have a calculator app. It's called Calca. Everyone should go buy it. It's great. You can get it today. You don't have to wait. I own it.
There's a lot of calculator apps out there. I'm trying to think of what's the other famous one. Pcalc. Pcalc is another famous calculator. Look, the iPad's been missing a calculator since day one, since 2010. Where's the calculator been, Apple? Yes, it's a competitor to me. They didn't Sherlock me, though, because they made a normal calculator app, and Calca is a pretty advanced calculator app.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about the Sherlocking there or anything. The iPad has needed a good calculator app for a long time, and it looks like it's finally going to get it. But even better was all the note-taking enhancements that they've been getting with the Apple Intelligence, where it can actually do numerical recognition, expression recognition. You can start doing some math recognition. Did you see the part where someone wrote out something and then in their handwriting wrote it back out to them? I worked on a feature like that, and I have a demo of an app that does that. It just learns your handwriting over time, so whenever it has to write text to you, it just uses your own handwriting. They do that. So clever, Apple, because I thought it was clever 10 years ago. Anyway, I think a calculator app is long overdue. I'm not personally worried about the Sherlocking because they're very different. It's not a symbolic calculator. So good. I feel bad for James Thompson, the creator of Pcalc.
Yeah, I do think that there are some similarities that I know Calca for, which is being able to assign variables and use those in the samples, which are great. And they can do that in the handwriting and writing recognition in part of it. Obviously, the advantage that I like of Calca is it's available like on the desktop where I use it the most. Like I don't use it on my phone very much, but I use it locally because I use it more of a hybrid between Excel and Word and, calculator is kind of all in there. So there's that aspect of it, saving these sheets and iCloud syncing it. I also love, though, here's my favorite part of the calculator handwriting part is that they would show these handwritten notes and there'd be like all these drawings. Like they're like, here's someone playing table tennis. And it's like this beautiful, like who's doing math?
Oh my God. And I thought about it the entire time. Like someone's taking math notes and they had these like perfectly shaded 3D objects drawn in by a very skilled artist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love that that's what Apple thinks our notes look like.
So cute. So cute.
Yeah. You know what a sphere looked like when I drew it? It was a blobby thing.
Now, I think that would have been a cool demo. Is like they show how to draw it, and then actually the AI knows what you're going to draw, so it improves it automatically.
Well, they have that already in the Freeform app,
but not in the Notepad app. I'm just saying. Who uses Freeform?
Is that true?
Not a single user uses Freeform. Everybody deletes it. Let's just be honest.
That's true.
What do you even use it for? There's no explanation. It's like, what is this? I don't know what to do with it. Delete.
I just recently deleted it because I agree with you. I use Keynote for all my drawing. But that's what really happened is there's like Pencil Kit or something.
Yes.
Whatever. Just you can add drawing capabilities to any app. So that app was just a showcase for Pencil Kit or whatever it is, and all that stuff is available in the Notes app. So if I
Mm.
want to do a quick sketch on any of this stuff, I just use the Notes app.
Ah,
Yeah.
got it. I, here's on the iPad specifically, cool
Mm-hmm.
calculator app. The iPad has been oddly lacking these fundamental apps for a long time. Like the weather app was always like terrible for like ever.
Yeah.
No calculator. Like I feel as though they didn't go wholeheartedly in. Now here is the issue I have with the iPad and iPadOS, and I think MKBHD hit on it.
Yeah.
This was an opportunity. They just released the world's most powerful tablets in the entire world, the
Yep.
M4 chip. It's the
Four
fourth chip.
times better than the one.
It is way that little tiny device is 1,000 times better than my MacBook Air with an M1. My MacBook Air, garbage. Just throw it out the window. It's garbage at this point because that
Yeah.
M4 processor 4,000 times better than my
Yeah.
M1. And I think that they missed an opportunity. I think that at this point, the calculator is not going to save the iPad. I think that the
No.
iPad still is this weird middle odd device that they still don't know what to do with. And it just gets some of the iPad, it just gets iOS
Yeah.
features, but then it has a few unique features and all right, but it doesn't feel as though they're taking advantage. Like, why does this
Yeah.
a device exist beyond being a bigger screen?
Yeah. Yep. Jeepers. Sorry, one of the what's it, Mac rumors? I'm getting it wrong. Um, Someone in the Mac community just wrote a big write up
Oh,
on status of the iPad.
yeah.
What are the pro features? Why do people still have to run a Mac? Why can't you do everything off of an iPad?
Yeah.
And as someone who makes their living off of selling iPad apps, I'm always curious. I definitely have my own opinions. When I travel, I definitely prefer to take my Mac if I want to do work. I can't do work on my iPad very
No.
well. Um, just silly things like you can't play two videos simultaneously on the iPad. You can with tricks, but normally the OS tries to prevent that because it's a single tasking operating system. I just noticed the same holds true for the Vision Pro.
Uh,
So if you start an AV player session, there's ways around it, but if you start an AV player, it'll pause all the other videos in the system
oh.
because even though you're in this ultra multitasking environment, even though you can easily put up two web pages and play videos from both of those, when you start playing a video in your app, it'll pause those. Or you can't play multiple videos in your own app, things
Mm.
like that. But I noticed in WWDC 2024 SDK version 18, whatever you want to call this stuff, visionOS 2, they finally have, I forget what it's called, but something called like multi-video. So you
Mm.
can play two videos or three or four or five, multi, who knows how many. So it's just funny that like even basic things like that, like they're just being slowly added in. So like
Yeah.
I wonder if this multi-video will show up on the iPad. I don't know if you need it quite as much, but there's lots of those little things, and they're all little things of
Yeah.
why the iPad is just not usable as a Mac.
It's consumption versus productivity,
That
and
too.
they're lacking. Like a Mac can obviously do all the consumption, all the productivity. The iPad can mostly do some productivity and a lot of consumption, but also
Better at it.
consumption only one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I'm doing a great job of multitasking on the I just think that there's a world of opportunity, and I don't know if they're just scared to do it, if it's not at the right time to do it, if it's going to be there 10 years from now or what it is, but why does this device exist? I don't know. um I don't know, and I think that's the it sells, people like it, it's bigger screen, it's
No,
good, it's good.
people like it because it's a computer you can't break.
That
So
is true.
Yeah, so when you start adding pro features, a lot of the features that we want are things that do break the thing,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And so I think Apple's just playing that fine line. I think there is a place in the world for iOS devices where it just works. If an app is hogging the GPU, you switch away from that app, and all of a sudden your game is working fine. It's not perfect because sometimes you do want it to hog the GPU. You're doing a video encoding in the background
Yeah.
or something like that. But for the most part, I think the big feature of the iPad is it works.
Yeah. It does.
It
It's
always
very true.
works.
Very true. If you were
Unlike
gonna,
Macs.
it's like if you're gonna get a family member a new device, or gonna get them
Yeah.
a Mac or a
Or
PC, or they're just gonna get them an iPad. And probably the iPad's just
or
gonna work.
myself. Like I manage a Linux machine. Like I much rather interface with the iPad because it just works. The Linux machine never works. I'm
It's true.
constantly patching it and fixing it. So
Yeah.
even for myself, I'm capable of all doing the advanced stuff, but I don't want to. I want a machine that just plays my YouTubes and maybe lets me look at messages at the same time,
There you go. Yeah.
if the gods allow it.
Yeah. All right. What did you think of this year's Dub Dub? What's your final
I was
verdict, Frank?
happy. They only Sherlocked 10% of an unreleased app of mine. They 90% Sherlocked another unreleased app of mine. But otherwise, they gave me an idea of an app to release. So, from my perspective, I'm going to give that a good. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Good. They sure liked all the hiking apps, so that's cool. And
Ooh,
I'm
ouch. Okay.
bad day to be a hiking app. That is for sure. That's probably one of my favorite features because we do go on hikes all the time. It's one of our main activities. I think it was a good event. I'm excited that Apple did jump into the AI space. They'll push
Yep.
forward on stuff. More competition's good.
Oh,
I am sad that I'm not going to get it for like another 5 years because of my device upgrades. It's about I'll have it on my Mac. I'll have it on my Mac, Frank. I'll have it on my Mac.
yeah, there you go.
So,
I forgot to say they to support all this Apple Intelligence, they did some big improvements to Core ML, which
ah,
is something I use a lot. They said ML a lot. They didn't say AI a lot. They said ML a lot,
yeah,
and part of that was improvements to Core ML. Which, thank you, Apple. Keep improving Core ML
yeah.
because we're stuck using it. So please make it better.
Yeah, there was a whole thing. It's kind of like the Onyx runtime, taking like PyTorch models and other models and putting it
Yeah,
into Core ML and pumping it. So I feel like we're kind of going down the similar path we talked about a little bit
yeah.
about from the build recap, but that was one of the big things with like the Onyx runtime and now with Core ML. So I think there's going to be a lot of convergence in this technology because we need to be able to share and get things moving faster. So that's nice to see.
Yeah, and they got some big impressive models working with Core ML, models that I have tried myself to convert and
Mm,
have failed at. So I'm really excited to see all the improvements and how they did it.
nice.
Lots of videos to watch.
Yes. Let me know and let us know if you watch some sessions. What are your favorite sessions? Hit us up at mergeconflict.fm. There's a contact button right into the show. Tweet at us. Do all the things. Let us know what you think of WWDC. If you're getting a new iPhone or do you have an iPhone today? What do you have? You have a 14? 14 Pro? What do you have?
Oh, I don't know, 13 or 14. I'm due
Okay.
for an upgrade. We'll say that much. I got my eye on the 16.
But
So
are you? But are
I
you?
am. I
Do
want
you
the
need it?
USB-C, man. I'm tired of cables. I'm tired of lightning.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm on the iPhone 11. Heather's on the
Yeah.
14. So
Lightning for life.
yeah, we may not get these features for another year. She might be on the 17 upgrade cycle. So we'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Okay. I think phone is uh on Santa's list for me this year.
Yeah. We'll see. I think it'll be one of those things where we'll see how you play around with it, how you like it, and if I need it or not, or if Heather needs it. That's other things. Like if we both get new iPhones, I don't know, it's a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, I am glad that the Macs are getting it. So I do think like overall
Yeah.
positive, play around with it. And that could be an indicator. If I really like it on my Mac, then go here. Oh, we didn't even talk about this. From a developer's perspective, the real winner, I know we're at 110 or 110, but Swift development coming to
Yeah.
Visual Studio Code.
Oh yeah. Language server for the language
LSP.
server protocol. Yeah,
Yeah,
LSP for the win. Thank
LSP.
goodness. I do Swift. Well, it's a little bit funny. I use VS Code for Swift because VS Code has Copilot.
Ah, yes.
But Xcode is finally getting, well, it looks like it's getting two things. One is more like an IntelliCode type thing, like a
Code completion.
network, yeah, tuned to your code base, privacy,
Yep.
all that stuff. But then also some kind of like chat chat interface with a bigger model that's on a server.
Yeah.
I'm excited for these because Xcode, talk about table stakes. It's just the word of the day. Using an IDE without predictive coding these days, like what? Like it should be able to write my code in the form of a haiku if I'm in the mood for it. Like just do it.
It's very true. The fact that they announced both of these things, I think, are neat. It's called Xcode Assist, which is your assistant, not your co-pilot by your side.
Yeah.
They had to do something. Copilot is just such a good word for GitHub Copilot.
Did they call it Xcode Intelligence though? That would have been fine.
It could be Xcode
XI?
Assist powered by Apple Intelligence.
Okay.
It's separate. No, and there are those two modes. The IntelliCode feature, I think IntelliCode actually is in Visual Studio and in VS Code, which also IntelliCode exists. Actually, is one of my favorite features. It's full line completion and predictive text, and it's very, 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 very good with recommendations. GitHub Copilot does more of the multi-line completion and single line, and it does everything, and you can talk to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fascinated to see how it rolls out and how it compares, because I know that the Android Studio had a very bumpy start. Nowadays, though, GitHub Copilot in VS and VS Code, it can help with like debugging your application. It can help with commit messages. It can do all sorts of crazy stuff. They can do this thing now where, imagine you and I are working on a project and you committed code, and you just said updated widgets.
Do you like to do that?
Yeah. You can go into the commit history and you can say, give me a summary of all the code changes that Frank made for this specific commit, and it will do analysis of it. There is a lot baked in, so Apple's got to play catch up here on it, and this is a good start, I think, obviously overall. But GitHub Copilot being everywhere, right? Not only in Microsoft products, but in other products, they got some ways to go. But the little sprinkling of Swift in VS Code, to me, there's some writing on the wall here. Apple's a slow play. They're a slow grind. They're a very slow play. They're like a glacier, just slowly moving, just so slow. But that's how they roll. Which, here's my prediction: Swift multi-platform. That's next 5 years. They hinted. Why would it come to VS Code?
Well, for Linux, it seemed like for running servers. Yeah, it's a good question. Apple's weird because they are a hardware company.
Yeah.
And they do like to make sure that they're promoting their hardware above other people's hardware. So it gets a little bit weird there. But yeah. I think, okay, here, just two more points on copilots and IDEs.
Yeah.
One is, I have come to expect that kind of grand world knowledge out of it also. So I want you to help me write some very rudimentary code. The way I really use it every day is, I wrote this one line of code and I need to write it 3 more times, but in slight variations. And it's always good at picking up on that. Like seeing what I wrote before and then filling in that blank. So 90% of the time, that's how I'm using Copilot and things like that, as just a better copy paste kind of thing, honestly. But the other 10% of the time, I'm saying, here is this amorphous problem that I don't even fully understand, please help me reason about it, and let's write some code together. And that's when you need the bigger nets. That's when you need the ones that have the understanding of the
Yeah.
world. They understand physics, they understand programming, they understand all the different topics, because programming is a multi-topic, it's horizontal,
Multimodal.
vertical. It's multi everything. We need to know a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So the networks do too.
Yeah, that's true. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to hear what you think about everything. I need to get everything reset up on my Mac. I think I'm going to be doing a cleanse of my Mac because I want to do a clean installation
Ooh.
of and do a video on VS Code for .NET MAUI and .NET setup, but like completely wipe away and,
Nice.
get away from everything. So I think I will do a reset, reformat,
You
and
know,
then do it. Yeah.
I think Apple has really good virtualization these days, by the way, too. So just FYI, if you're doing those kinds of videos, you might just look into making some images, some base images to work from.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. What I recently did is
Yeah.
Windows. I don't know if Apple has anything like this on the Mac, but on Windows, there's a app that's on every Windows 11 machine. It's called Windows Sandbox,
Oh, yeah.
and
There you go.
it does virtualization. What it does is it spins up a sandbox
Mhm.
separated, and it's very, very fast. It basically is a lightning quick VM, and it's a clean slate. And I just recorded a video for the VS Code channel on getting Visual Studio Code and the C# dev kit and the SDK installed. And, it's amazing to do those types of videos. But if there's a way to do that
Mhm.
on the Mac, I'd be
Yeah.
pretty.
A few years ago, they introduced virtualization deep down into the OS,
Hmm.
and they made it really easy to just go get a Mac image and
Hmm.
start executing it.
Okay.
Um, they definitely have. I forget how you're supposed to do it. They definitely have like sample code. You can go download
Ah,
the sample app and just
okay.
go do it. But I think there's better ways, and obviously there's open source programs to
All right.
execute it all for you too.
All right. I'll
But they
bing
made
it.
it real easy to, especially on ARM, on the M processors, to do
Yep.
all this stuff. Yeah.
All right. I'll bing it. I'll get it done. All right.
Cool.
That's going to do it, Frank,
Epic
for
episode.
tonight. We did it. Epic AI intelligent episode. Uh that's it. Yeah. Right into the show. Let us know. Follow us. Share this. Follow on the YouTube. We are officially, let's see, on our counts on the YouTubes. Switching it over. We got 505 subscribers. Bow, 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 bow,
Thank you,
bow.
everyone. Okay, we really wanted that push over. We appreciate that.
Love it. Really appreciate that. And you can leave a comment on the YouTube channel. We definitely read those. We're very close. We have hit two of our
Ooh,
three metrics we
yeah.
need to hit. So we have 500 subscribers. We just need to get 3,000 watch hours. We're at
Ah,
1,184. We're getting close. So it's a third away
everyone,
there.
watch all night long. Don't go to sleep. You don't need sleep. Sleep is for the weak. Stay up and watch all the back catalog of all the Merge Conflict episodes.
If you want to, I'm not saying to do this, but if you want to, there's a playlist. Just set on autoplay.
Shh,
Go.
no, don't. Nope. You got to stay awake and you got to watch it attentively.
Definitely. Okay. Until next time, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.